Hello, welcome to episode 18 of the Snowboard Instructor podcast. This week we have John Marrion, who talks to us about his experiences through the BASI system, his interesting work in China, and how drugs such as psychedelics affect the snow sports culture from his personal experiences.
Alongside this, we have a sponsor for this episode. Watch and Ride is an online snowboarding school which focuses on improving your ability no matter what level you are. With loads of quick tutorials and feedback from high-level instructors, you're bound to improve not just your technical ability, but also your knowledge. They also have a fitness program to help maintain your fitness for next season of shredding. As we all know, lockdown has made us a bit lazy. Visit Watch and Ride and use the coupon code Snowboard Instructor Podcast for 25% off your order. We hope you enjoy this episode and have a great day. Cool, man. So, first question I want to ask is, of course, when did you start snowboarding, Jonathan?
I want to say well done to you boys as well, man, on the pod.
No worries, man.
It's because I've been really enjoying the podcast, enjoying the guests, and thanks for doing it, mate.
It's good. It's good to have you on, man, for sure.
Yeah, you're well practiced at the art now.
We're getting there.
I don't think
give us like a couple more years, and then we'll be like professionals. But at the moment, we're still getting there, you know. But yeah, definitely talk to us about the first time you hopped on a snowboard, and what after kind of that first lesson, what made you want to be like, yeah, this is my thing. This is what I want to go into.
Yeah, so snowboarding started in your ends, you guys' ends in Tamworth Snowdome. But before that, I'd been on. I was lucky enough to go away twice with the school on ski trips, and I drove past where it was the other day. Actually, I went to Absolute Park.
Oh, Absolute!
A couple of weeks ago, which was amazing. But we went to some place called Wagrain or whatever it's called, and I drove past it. I was like, oh, Wagrain. I always remember it because it sounds like Wagwan. And I went there, with school. And I just had the time of my life. Like, that's what started everything. Like, with my friends at school, like, it was ready, it was ready for a bunch of kids. I mean, like, look, I've got some throwaway camera photos of like us just partying in like a nightclub, but obviously no alcohol. Just like the teachers take you to a nightclub earlier on, just to have the party or whatever. And like I look so like mashed up, even though all I've had is like Fanta or something. And so it was so good. I remember it was like mad powder. And I'd been to Tamworth then on the skis and got a bit of practice. And a few of my friends had already been skiing before on trips or whatever. So they were in a higher group. So I was like really keen to try and get into that group. And so I was a bit loose. I wasn't like up to standard, but I managed to get into the higher group and was just tearing about and just like dodgy, technique on the skis, like sitting back or whatever. And what was I going to say? I forgot now. That was such a great time anyway. And I remember saying, like, I've had the time of my life, like skiing all day. It was like crazy powder. I wasn't aware at the time that was good. You know what I mean? Like, it's mad to think back to that time when you don't even know the difference between conditions, and you just like, God, this is a nightmare. Like, I can't see. After that, I was always asking the instructor. I was just like, when are you going to do like some jumps or something? Like jump 180s, anything? I mean, I didn't know what side hits were at the time, but like, I was like, come on, like, something. Like, it really wants, obviously, want to get some good technique. I can understand now. The person that can barely stand up on the skis is asking to do all this stuff. But I think I'd already started BMXing before that trip, so it was all about tricks and stuff. So in the end, he did take us off some side hits and stuff, and it taught me like the flatland 360s and stuff. But then, yeah, after that, I was trying to think if there was a time where I saw like snowboarding, or saw it on the TV, or saw it in person, and I thought that's got to be for me. But I can't think of it. I just always thought, obviously, it goes without saying that snowboarding is just more for doing tricks, which might not be the case anymore now. I know that like freestyle skiing's big on the freestyle now, isn't it? And it's came up big time. But I suppose back then, I don't know, like I've done like, I'm not very good with like numbers and stuff, but I've probably done like 9 seasons now. I've been doing it full time for like nine years. And then before that, I was like when I was like 16 or whatever, you're a lot younger, which is a long time ago now. I was over 10 years ago, well over 10 years ago. So I suppose back then, snowboarding was the main freestyle thing, wasn't it? And skiing didn't have the same, it wasn't represented in freestyle, was it, and stuff. So I just automatically think, well, if I want to do tricks, I've got to go on a snowboard, like. So I did the Tamlands, learned to snowboard in a day. I think I remember the dude. Who's the boss man there?
Long hair, blonde, Andy Bridgman.
I think that might. I'm not quite.
Maybe, or Tim Carter, because
the guy with the short hair, and I remember seeing him ride down this piece, with both his feet on top of the bindings, not in the bindings. Just standing on them, doing hillside.
Luke Lightwood, Luke Lightwood, man. That's
yeah.
Yeah, he's a fucking sick one. He's finished snowboard. Wow, he finished a year ago teaching, or a couple of years ago to pursue tattoo, because he's an amazing tattoo artist. But yeah, I'm guessing he taught you and stuff.
Yeah, I think it was him, man. And because shout out to that guy, Luke, because you should get like bomb, the bomb hole. Have you listened to that?
Yeah. Oh man, the bomb hole, man.
You get some sound effects in it. The fucking the horn. But yeah, I remember seeing him do that on the top of the bindings. I was like, that guy's legit. So that was a bit inspirational. I do that now just to wig with people, like, oh
yeah,
it's just like, oh, what's going on? But yeah, I did that, and like obviously picked it up quick. And they're obviously they've got a lot of people on the day, and they're trying to get a lot of people through. So I kind of just felt it out or whatever, and he was just like, yeah, well, there you go, you've got it. And I was like, well, it's like, yeah, no, same, you're doing turns. And then what was it? We're talking about when I first started snowboarding. Yeah.
You're doing the learning day.
Yeah. So I did that, and so then I went away with my brother. It was my first trip, and I remember we went to like a ski and snowboard show in it might have been in Birmingham, it might have been in London, I can't remember now. And I bought sort of K2 board, like a fluorescent green rocker thing. It was proper. It's not legit. It wasn't. It was majorly rockered. Well, I was super lucky to have that. And we went to Pasta de Casa, which you guys have you guys been there?
I've been Pasta de Casa twice.
That was my
I'd like to go back to the Andorra, like. Yeah, so that was loose. That was like the first time I'd ever been away. Maybe it was me and my brother, and like the conditions then, like I wasn't aware of like good or bad conditions, and I was just like trying to do butters everywhere, but it was like solid ice. And I just remember just like riding up to lift queues, but it's like very, when the ice gets like little lines cutting it, and it's just like that death situation. And I was just like trying to do nose butters and stuff, spinning around and just slamming every time. But yeah, that was awesome. And yeah, I remember trying to go to the park because I don't know where the park over in a different part, Sal Tartar or
been sold that. I have no idea where the park. I know where the park is in.
There wasn't one.
Area.
There might have been a little one in Paso de Castro actually. Now I think I remember. And it's actually taking me jogging my memories now. I'm thinking about it. But I remember the one day. Oh, we got to get over to the.
Yeah, you got to go over, and then it's there to the left.
Up and over, right? And then we finally got there, and it was just like these massive kickers. And I was like, oh well, I'm definitely not doing that. Like, I don't know. I was like, got to go to the park, but I don't know. I probably didn't realize the actual size of I just like how big jumps can be for snowboards and skis. They're absolutely massive. So that was the first and only trip I've ever really done with a snowboard. Like I did those two ski trips with the school, and then the snowboard trip with my brother, and then after that it was just seasons then, because like I just thought, like I was big into my BMX, and I thought, man, if you only had like a week a year to do, or like a couple of weeks a year to do BMXing, then I'd just be rubbish at BMXing. Like the amount of time I'd put into it, just countless hours just wasted just sitting around in skate parks and stuff. But if I had to put that into 1 week, it'd just be, we wouldn't even be touching the surface of it at all. So I was like, I got to do a whole winter. But then I don't know how I figured out that would be a possibility. Like I think.
Well, let's talk about your first season then. Like, where did you go, and like what did you do to kind of like financially?
Yeah. I mean, it's a great thing. It doesn't really. I don't know how it's going to exist as much now with all the Brexit and stuff, mate. It's a shame because talked about it a lot recently. Like French Alps. I went to Morzine, and then I ended up staying there for years and years. But the first season was with a tour operator, an English tour operator. So went to the interview, like a group interview thing. I was super nervous. I was like, I just want this so bad. And then they just promise you the world. They're like, oh yeah, you like biking? Oh, we'll get you. We've got rental bikes. We'll get you a bike. Oh yeah, we'll get you. And they just tell you anything to get you out there. And then you end up working like
ridiculous hours.
Yeah, ridiculous hours for absolutely no money. And I used to kick off about it in the at the place that I worked for Alpine Elements. So I was a bit of a nightmare for moaning about the conditions and stuff. Like I think that was my early stages of being like a socialist warrior for the people or something like that. But it was actually really good. Like it's amazing that you could get out there and have it all set up for you. You get a bus out there, you get your insurance, you get your ski rental if you need that. You get your lift pass, you get your food, accommodation. It's all sorted out, so it's amazing. Like I wouldn't have thinking about it, like now I'm in Austria and like how complicated it is to like people turn up here and stay in a hotel first, and then they search for accommodation. They got to talk to locals to like get the accommodation. Then you got to go to like the local, town hall and like register yourself and all this kind of stuff. Like I don't know how I wouldn't have managed that back then. So I'm really grateful for those companies, even after they've got more regulated, and they said you've got to pay them, your employees more and stuff. And now with Brexit, it's basically probably I don't know. I can't say put a stop to it. I don't know what they're gonna.
I feel like it'll adapt and stuff.
Yeah, it's got to, isn't it? It's too much of an unpredictable time, isn't it? I don't know what. Maybe people go to Canada in the future instead, and that'll be even better. I suppose.
Yeah, and you got as you know, China. China's like getting bigger and bigger in the snowboard area and the snowboard scene, and Japan as well. So
I mean, that'll be lots of opportunities, and there is terrain in China that maybe one day they could use, which would be as awesome as France. Like, but a lot of the terrain that I went to was just straight up like man-made kind of stuff, you know what I mean? But I'll get on to
we'll get on to
I can talk about China for ages.
So let's talk about like the free time you had then. So you were doing your operating on that first season, and then from that free time you did have, I'm guessing you kind of just did some skiing and snowboarding, or did you just solely just shred with the snowboard?
Oh yeah, no, snowboarding. Later seasons, I got into skiing for a bit, but yeah, on those first seasons, man, it'd be great because you work in the morning, finish whenever you can, just do the job as quick as you can, do it properly, and then get it done with, and then go ride all day, and then you come back to work, get your food at work, do the night shift, do the food for them, and then pardon me, and then you be done again. Then you can go out on the night. So I mean, it only suits there's older people doing it as well, I suppose, but I wouldn't have been able to keep up that pace now, I don't think. Or maybe on your first season, you're so stoked all the time, like it's you just power through, like. But then yes, I'd ride all the time. Like I used to say, if I'd had more than 3 days off in a row, then like it'd feel like I'd have to relearn stuff. I'd like forget stuff. So I'd always be like, no more than 3 days off in a row, or no, never, only 2 days off in a row. You know what I mean? Like, because I'd get back on the mountain and I'd be like, I was doing this before, but now I'm having to redo it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you started pretty early with thinking about how you snowboarded, then, with a mix of just kind of just sending it and just being like, yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I just watch the videos and then try and imitate them. That's like what everyone says, isn't it? Like, so yeah, like watching The Art of Flight, which is like got to be a season air, rite of passage, or I don't know. I mean, it's just amazing, isn't it? I've not watched it this season, but I need to show it to some of the guys here actually on their first season. I keep saying you've got to watch. But like watching Travis Rice or whoever doing like a nose butter and powder, and it's just like, that's amazing. And like it's kind of like on a BMX to do a 180 nose manual, 180 out. That's a super hard trick. Like I've never done that. But you can do it on a snowboard, quite easily, can't you? I mean, it took me halfway through the first season of probably to get doing them. But then once I'd done them, I was like, I was just doing them everywhere. And I don't know. That, I suppose now in a lesson, I'd teach like 180s, front side, back side. But obviously I wasn't thinking about anything like that. I wasn't thinking about edging or which front, I was just doing nose butters and like laybacks, tripods, just butters for days. And so, yeah, I wasn't think like going into my first course, like I wasn't technically good. Like I was just, trying to imitate all those tricks and stuff. You know what I mean? Different grabs and yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of going from those trips. Did you have any other subsequent seasons before you started to kind of really think about a qualification in instructing?
Yeah, that's a good question, isn't it? Yeah, it was. I think like a lot of people I was listening to. Ash did my level one. Who I was, what a legend! Like doing my first level one, I was just so in awe. Like, and he was saying like you got to figure out a way of making this your life, haven't you? Making it your like a sustainable life. And like I was looking, I couldn't hold down a job in Morsey because I'm not really good. Like I was just getting fired left, right, and centre. And so I was like, I can't picture myself as a manager of one of these businesses that I've been working for. can't picture myself as looking at all the different roles, and I'm thinking, no, that's not going to work. And I don't know, like, it's interesting. A lot of people say, "Oh, don't turn what you love into your job," in it, because it'll ruin it. Have you heard when people say that? Like,
I've heard one or two, but majority from like kids' cartoons. Do what you love as a job, normally.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's always having this conflict, is it because it's my passion, and like, so it took me a long time to like really think, is this really what I want to do? Because then, like, you can't ride as much. If like, if I can do a job like working in a bar, then I can ride all through the day. But then, like, I was just doing season after season, and it was getting less rewarding just doing that as well. Like, I was getting distracted by the season air lifestyle, and so it was like, and then I read this thing, or heard this, watched a YouTube video, probably more likely, talking about like people that get pleasure out of things. It was like, I think it's really interesting. Like, it was like a study, and it was like trying to record how much pleasure someone will get from something, and they're recording it through the brain, like chemicals or whatever. So it's like scientific evidence that it can be recorded with actual, and it was like they give a bunch of people a bottle of wine and just be like, here's a bottle of wine, drink it, and they drink it, and the brain records a certain amount of pleasure, and then they go, here's a bottle of wine, it was brewed in France by this guy named Pierre, who's in the French valleys of Sion, and he spends several months curing it. And so there's this study, and the different bottles of wine. Oh, it's the same bottle of wine. It's just what they're telling the person. It's like, this one's been cured for this many months, and it's like by this like special traditional way where they tread on the berries, and that's why it has this flavor, because it's been in this part of the France where the sun hits it this way. And then they drink the same bottle of wine, and the brain records more pleasure. So it's like actually physically made a difference. Like the more you know about something, the more you know about a subject, the more satisfaction you get from it. And then they also did one where they were like, this is a bottle of wine, it's made in France in a special way, and it's 500 quid as well. And then the brain recorded even more pleasure as well. So, I mean, everyone likes that as well, I suppose, if something's valuable to other people. So that was made me think, well, like, it's not gonna ruin my passion for me if I know more about it, like, and I go deeper into it. So I don't know why people say, I can understand when people say, oh, don't turn what you love into a job, because certain aspects of the job could make it like a drag. No, I think for that, it's like, no, you can just go way deeper into it, and it just, the more deep you go, the more pleasure, the more joy you get out of it, instead of just aimlessly riding around the mountain with your friends doing not great turns with your knees knocking together. That's fun for a bit, but you want to go deeper, and then you get more, don't you? And like, that's what I love about the BASI system for me, is I'm just progressing, and I'm in no rush to go through it like in a certain amount of years. I just like having the progression, and just like prestige mode on Call of Duty, like you can always keep leveling up, which is always feels good, but also you can if you're getting bored of one type of snowboarding, you can you do the backcountry course, and there all about that. It's just keeps it really interesting, like so. And I went traveling after a lot of seasons, and I was like, I had it on my bucket list to go traveling, like Asia and all that. And so I kind of wanted to do that before I did anything else with the seasons. and I was doing the traveling. I was like, this is sick and everything, but like, I'd rather be on a season. Like, I was like, everyone, I'd hyped it up in my head so much. Like, I mean, I love Asia, but I was just like, you know, you're looking at waterfalls and temples. It starts to get a bit samey, and you're just getting on the lash loads. I didn't realize that traveling can be quite so rowdy. I thought it was more of like a spiritual experience or something. So I was there, and I was just like, I ended up going wakeboarding loads because I was just like, I wanted just something to do, like a passion or like a sport that consumes me. Like, you know what I mean? If I'm just going day to day, not, you know, doing whatever, I need to, you know, I'm obviously like too hyperactive or whatever. I need to have like that, you know, physical sport to just be consumed by, like, day to day. And I ended up doing like a mushroom shake in Thailand, and I just sat on the beach and I was just talking about all the snowboarding stuff, and just like, I was just like trying to wrap my head around it, and like, obviously, I was just like, have you seen? I just it was obviously, it was obvious to me at that point. I was like, well, I wouldn't do anything else. Like, this is everything. This is everything that consumes me. Like, my so like, that was a big turning point for me. And I don't know, like, I'd like to talk about psychedelics because I think it's such a
definitely we'll definitely go into that for sure. I do want to just kind of really touch upon very quickly just your experience with your level 1 and 2 courses. So of course, you know, you've had this realization, like, you really want to kind of do snowboarding and keep with the season more. Did you do any other seasons after that, or
yeah, so I did the traveling. I finished the traveling early because I was like, it's seasons, this is it, like, snowboarding. And with the money that I didn't spend traveling, I then spent on the BASI 1 course. So I don't know, yeah, I'm kind of going off the rails, like, chatting about that.
That's all right.
That's all good. Don't worry about it, man.
No, it's like, it was like, I was there and I was like, this ain't even fulfilling me like I thought it would. So I cut it short in the end, which was still amazing experience, but I cut it short. And with that money that I could have spent, I spent that on the BASI level 1, which is like £500 or £500 or whatever, isn't it, or something like that.
Yeah.
In Tamworth, so it's like right close to where my hometown is. So with that newfound realization of this is going to be a fulfilling way for me to go, you know, as a way of turning my passion into my job, and also just the way I'm going to spend the rest of my life being the most stoked as I possibly can. So yeah, went to Tamworth, turned up. Ash is there, legend. Like, I remember him talking about doing tricks and stuff, and I was like, yeah, this dude's legit. Like, he's still like on it with the you know, the stunts and that, like, and which is awesome. And he collared me out pretty soon for just being like a seasoned air snowboarder. Who, I mean, I wasn't too up myself, but I thought I was going to be pretty
at the level.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be pretty proficient after, I think, maybe 2 seasons. After 2 seasons, I thought I was going to be pretty proficient. But like, obviously, I hadn't given any thought to my technique all that time. I was doing tricks and stuff, but not even giving any thought to the technique of freestyle, or, you know, going off kickers and stuff and rails. I didn't even know that goes so much deeper that since I've learned. At the time, I thought I was like all over it, but so yeah, he was just giving me jib for being like a seasoned air snowboarder, and so I was trying hard, and at the time, I was hard. It was I found the level 1 super hard, and I found the level 2 like super hard. Like, both of those weeks were like the most stressful times I'd had till that date. And since then, I've had plenty of more stressful times. But at that time, that was, yeah, for sure, the most stressful time. Like,
What did you find the most trickiest? Did you find your tech, or did you find your teach quite tricky, or was it kind of roughly about the same?
Both.
Yeah, for sure, both, man. Like, yeah, like the tech was, I wasn't at the level. My knees were knocking together. Like, well, I can say that a lot now because I got injured with my knee, and I'm annoyed about it because it was just like not good, not good athletic position. But I'd never heard of like pedaling before, and like that doesn't. It's not like the main part of level 1, is it? But it does come in.
Yeah,
And,
it comes in a lot more in the level 2 if you do it with Ash about foot pedaling.
No, yeah, we were trying to do. I can't remember the drill. It was like it's like a French name for it, where you have to do
braquage.
Braquage, yeah.
Where it's just solely foot pedaling or rotating the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that really that blew my mind. Like, because obviously you're doing the shoulder thing, aren't you?
Yeah.
trying to make it go, aren't you? And that's like, nah, it's not allowed. I'm like, well, how the hell am I supposed to do this without that? And there's one other guy that was struggling. So it was just me and him, and we were trying to go through it with each other together. And then on like the last half of it, it was like late into the last day, finally starting to get it. That guy, God bless him, didn't manage to get it, so he failed. But I swear I was like next one to be failed, you know what I mean? I've not talked to him since about it to see, but I got it in the end. And I think, well, maybe he said I was coachable, but maybe I still wasn't. It was like, I trust in you to get better. So I don't know, like, so I was super stoked to get that. And then with the teach, I was just super nervous as well. Like, since doing instructor courses, my ability to, speak out into groups and stuff has just improved massively. You know what I mean? Like, people see me as like quite a sociable person, but I suppose I do get like anxious in social settings, or I have in the past, and still like I'm quite like dialed into it, you know what I mean? I'm quite full on with, I love it, social, but I'm always like, deep into it, you know what I mean? So doing those courses has really, I didn't conquer it after my level 1. I managed to get through it, and then on my level 2, I think that was like really got fully. I was just like, yeah, I'm cool with this now. I'm happy to do it. Like,
so with the level 2, then, go into that a little bit. Did you do it with Ash, or did you do it with someone else for the level 2? Was it a season, or was it just like a 3-week or something, or all that jazz?
Yeah, so did the level 1 in Tamworth. That was sick.
Yeah.
Big up to Ash. And then I went back to Morzine, but before the season, I went to Zermatt and did my level 2, which was awesome experience. And that was with Brunel, which was, it was amazing. It's obviously expensive, Zermatt. But I stayed in this guy's. Everyone else stayed in the hostel, and I stayed back in down the valley from Zermatt, like on the one train, which was a bit cheaper. But then I realised how expensive that train was. But then I just didn't pay. I just, figure out a way of not paying or paying less.
Right.
Which Ash would not stop talking about on the level 1. He was just like, I'm a seasonaire at heart, and like I know how to just get things for cheap, like, because you do have to learn to do that, like, so I did a bit of training before the level 2 with a guy in Zermatt. It was I don't know if it was Vivid. No, I think it was ES Ride.
ES Ride. Oh, so that'd be the ES
company.
ES Academy lot.
Yeah, ES is a company in Zermatt, and then they got ES Ride, which is like the snowboard part.
Area.
And he was like level 3, and he was like, yeah, I can train you up for it. So we just went for a couple of days, just me and him. I don't want to go into these courses and just fail, man. I want to
get it done.
Totally. I do not want to just go in flippantly, like, you know what I mean? Some people, that's fair enough, and you can go in and get a feel for the course, and like, if you fail, come back and do it again. But I really want to go in and just be, confident. and that was cool. He was really good, and it was on Zermatt Glacier, and there's a park there. So even though I was paying him, we'd do the turns and whatever, work on them before the park, and then we'd dip in the park, ride through that, and then both of us just like, yeah, just, and then after that we'd then go back to the turns, which probably kept me mentally stimulated. I don't know. Yeah, it was cool. And then did the level 2 with Renee. I just remember like being super nervous on the teach, and like I was just super quiet in the group. Like I was just gauging everything out, and just like you know, I didn't want to like come across as like big man or whatever. And everyone was like, "Oh, you dead shy and stuff." I'm like, "Well, I'm not normally, but I'm just trying to just get through it and like, you know, think about things and stuff." And but I was still nervous for the teach part of it, and like Renee would go before that teaching aspect and just be like, she's like, "John, like we all like love and appreciate you, and that we all want you to succeed, and you're an amazing dude." And then she like went around the group and was like, "Everyone say one thing that they like about John." And I was just like, this is the best thing ever. Like I just love, that's the kind of stuff like I like. I love doing that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I'd like to bring that into my coaching and into my instruction, just like that emotional intelligence or whatever, or just like picking up on the vibes. And like that was just what I needed. Like, and it wasn't weird. Maybe for some people, if they did that, they'd be like, "Oh, this is weird. Why are they doing that?" But for me, that was exactly what I needed, and I was just like, "That's amazing," and it helped, and I did it, and yeah, and then with the tech side, that was a teach, so I was nerve wracking, but then had that great tuition, like, and you know, overcome my fears of that like type of thing, public speaking and stuff, and then with the tech, obviously, it's a step up from level 1. I've been riding a lot, obviously, on the seasons. I've been thinking more about it. I had that tuition prior to. So the tech was probably easier than the level 1 for me. But the weather was bad on Zermatt Glacier. Obviously, that's like a glacial place, can get pretty mad weather quite often, can't it? So it was closed for a few days, and it was looking like the course was going to be cancelled, which was gnarly because I didn't get that course cancellation insurance, which I'll recommend to anyone that takes a course.
Get cancellation insurance.
Get course cancellation insurance, which I hadn't really thought about. I mean, I don't know. I thought that was included or whatever, but I'd recommend that to anyone, because if you're on the course and then the place gets closed down for 3 days and they're talking about cancelling the course, and you've already spent like $2,000 on trying to make the whole thing happen, you're like, oh my God, it's pretty mad news to hear that. Like, so it was stressful. And then it was like, finally, those last 2 days of the course, the weather came through. So we were a couple of days behind with the amount of time we got to get taught / practice. So, and it was like powder and like variable. So it was like right up to the wire, you know, and she's like, and I was up to the wire, like trying to, you know, get to the level with everything, carving and stuff. And then, the one day, the gondola up to the glacier, super long gondola, like it like goes up, turns the corner, goes up again. It's like over half an hour probably. And I just got in it on my own, and I just sat and like meditated, and like I've meditated a lot in the past. Like I had like anxiety stuff when I was younger. I had like mad anxiety disorder and stuff, and like went to counselling, and like you know, ended up doing like yoga and meditation and stuff. And so it's pretty like you know, it's been a key thing for me at certain times in my life to help through those like high pressure situations and stuff. And it just changed. It changed the game for me on that day, because like I was meditating and I was like doing like body, like it's like called progressive muscle relaxation meditation, where you go around your body and you feel your toes. And
Oh,
you're just,
I know what
breathing.
you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, have you ever tried anything like that?
My girlfriend's been was doing something like that with the meditating and feeling how it feels through your toes and stuff. She couldn't get to it. Seems as much as you, because she kept saying she kept falling asleep before she hit the toes part.
Yeah. Obviously, that's the meditating's telling you you're obviously too tired, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the morning, and you're going through your toes, you go through to your legs, your knees, your thighs, go through your whole body, just feeling them and just taking note of where they are in space. You know what I mean? And I think that's great, because obviously on the course, it's just a game of you moving your body into a position, and then the instructor's going, no, not like that, move this part this way instead. And it's like, well, if I could just tell my brain to do that with my body, then this would be easy. I'd just do it in one day. You wouldn't need 2 weeks worth of tuition. It's all just trying to do that, isn't it? Which is I don't know, the different phases of learning, associative and all that. But so I was just trying to tune into my body and tune out of my head, I suppose, where all the anxious and stress was there. And on that day, it was like every bit of feedback she gave me, it was just in straight away. And she'd just say it, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'll just move my knee this way, and then it would be like, oh yeah, that feels way better. And everyone was like, what have you taken some, performance enhancing drugs or something? Or you just turn it around this day. So I was just like, yeah, I'm super glad I did that. Because I was took that lift on my own, because that helps a lot. And I like to use that in my coaching and instructing as well, because you're trying to get that result from people, trying to make them do things with the body. They've got to try and figure it out. So I think that's a super helpful thing. There's another guy who was definitely going to fail, and he was just like, oh, I'm going to fail. I'm just going to take these last 2 days to just enjoy it and enjoy the powder and whatever. And on those 2 days, he turned it round and passed as well, because he was just he wasn't worried about it anymore. And he was just like, I'm just going to whatever, it's over. And then he just smashed it. I was like, amazing. So that was it. Level 1 and level 2, man. It was a good time.
Yeah. And kind of going before you moved on to your level 3 and kind of the training towards that. Let's just talk about your teaching experience, John. And did you do did you go to do any instructing at specific ski schools before you started to really think about those higher qualifications?
Yeah, I've been blessed as to with the opportunities that I've got in snowboarding and stuff. Yeah, so I've been super blessed in the opportunities that I've had in snowboarding for what, I don't know, it's just luck or whatever. And I worked in Switzerland for Viamond, which is kids, it's international schools going on a kids school holiday thing, school trip. And that's really cool, because you get really unique groups of kids and you teach them for a whole week. So that was a really good way to get experience of in teaching, dealing with kids, which BASI doesn't go into much, does it really?
They've only got what they don't really talk about it as much, but they've got this really small sort of, I wouldn't say it's a manual, but just a little module for how kids work in skiing, just in skiing, but not in snowboarding. Which is a bit weird, but you can sort of transfer it.
After the VM Switzerland, I went to Australia, and I got a skiing qualification there with Australian APSI, and a big part of the qualification was just how to deal with kids and their developmental. It was all about just kids' developmental stages and stuff. So I was like, wow, that's a totally different approach, APSI to BASI. And it's when you think about it, if you're getting your level 1, who are you going to be teaching? Most likely kids. I suppose BASI in a dome, then maybe you'd be teaching all kinds of people. but like I suppose in Australia, their format, if you're going to be level 1, you're going to be getting the kids, so you got to learn about how to deal with kids. So that was a bit baffling, having to deal with a bunch of crazy kids in a group on a mountain. I remember calling my mom up and just being like, how do you, what do you do? Like, how do you deal with this? You know, I mean, it was, they were mad kids from an international school in like Riyadh in the Middle East. And the kids are like, the parents are like genuinely, like some of the parents are actually like royalty and stuff. And like, you know, they don't take direction very well. Like, so that was probably a baptism of fire. But yeah, so I worked for them for quite a bit, one season on and off. And then I did another season, and I said I'd do skiing as well and teach skiing. And I did one ski lesson. At that point, that was after I'd been to so I did one season there. Then I went to Australia, which was amazing. That was just eye-opening experience, because the parks there are just, you know, proper job. And before that, I'd just been in France, which is like Morzine, the Stash is amazing, love that. But the parks not so much anymore. But then in Australia, everything's just perfectly made. Kickers, rails are all, you know, new, painted up nice. You know, in Morzine, the rails are all like rusty and stuff and like old. You know, not very inviting. So yeah, in Australia, did a whole season there. It was one of the best snow seasons of they've had in like 30 years or whatever. So I got more powder in Australia than I did in France the season before, which is amazing. And I learned a lot there because it was Australian teaching system instead of BASI. Totally different, man. And I was like, damn, like this is, I don't get it. Like, I was super nerve-wracking there, and it was skills assessment day. You went there without a guarantee of a job. So I flew halfway across the world with no guarantee of a job, and I had to pay €80 or $80 for the luxury of going on this interview. And then they like line you up X Factor style and just watch you ride. And then that's it. Like, and that normally is only one day, but it carried on for a whole week, because they were like, oh, we've got too many instructors, and we still don't know if you're going to be able to all stay. So we're all like stressing out for this whole week. It was like another level snowboarding course. And they're all talking like totally different language to me with the BASI and stuff. You know, no pedaling or anything like that.
What sort of that way? Like language-wise? In what, for example, in what sort of way, language-wise? So obviously, as you know, BASI talks about pedaling quite a lot. More with the knees?
Yeah, well, they just don't, like, I feel like I only do the pedaling stuff with the people that have got like that mechanical mind, you know what I mean? And for like a lot of people, it's just, you know, body position or whatever. Australians, it's more like the surf style. I mean, I didn't do an Australian course snowboarding, I did Australian skiing. But it did seem like they got a pretty amazing system. The manuals were sick. It's, you know, I think they were really trying hard to be recognized. But then when people say Australia, that's not, you know, they're not known for skiing and snowboarding, are they? Like, but they do. It seems like they do a really good job with it. But yeah, it was just more like different drills and stuff that I'd not done before. And like some of the other guys had done CASI, but they'd done like the whole season-long course, where they've had a whole season just doing different drills, learning different teaching things. I'd just done that 2-week BASI, and I was like, God, I don't have any of these drills, you know what I mean? Like, so I just learned from those guys, and learned on that season. Like, there was a time when I was just too nervous. There was like a week-long kids lesson, and like, that's sound. You got kids for a week, you can just go ripping with them, it's easy. But I was like, oh, how am I gonna keep this filled with content for a whole week? I was super nervous. Like, and in the end, I said, you take my shift, you take this group to like a more senior instructor, and I'll shadow you. Because I was wigging out, I was like super anxious about it, and the guy was like, "Are you mad?" It was like, "What? Yeah, fine, I'll have your money and just ride around with these kids and just jump off side hits all day, easy." But I did it, and then like the ski school like manager was like, "That's the proper good thing you did there. Like I respect that, because you wanted to provide the product properly, and you dipped out of money just to try and learn. You know what I mean?" So I got into it in the end, and learned a lot there. Just not always sticking to that BASI. There's different. There's CASI, there's APSI, there's BASI, there's American one, whatever that is, ASI or whatever, or
AAZ.
AAZ.
Well, AAZ.
AAZ. New Zealand one, like I've got the New Zealand one, the manual off the internet. You can download that for free. So I was like, sick. And they got loads of freestyle stuff in there as well, haven't they? All like pictures of everything. So I was like, big up to that as well. Like it's and just having that full rounded approach, isn't it? Is, I think, really important. Like, because depending on where the system is, like they have their own conditions, don't they? Like the system for Australian was like softly catch a monkey, because it's ice all the time. You know what I mean? It's rarely. Sometimes they get nice conditions, whereas like Canada is fresh snow all the time, perfect groomers. So Canada's like charging, using your edge. So it's like big. There's differences depending on that country and their conditions. Like so. That was when I realised, there's more to it than just the Bayesians, all these different.
Yeah, I think as soon as you expand out of that, it becomes a lot more interesting, and how, as you said, like it all differently works and that jazz. And I'm sort of getting into that as well, in the whole looking at New Zealand system specifically and seeing how they operate compared to BASI and that jazz, which is yeah.
Yeah, have you spoken to a New Zealand dudes yet?
We've had a few. Who was Mel?
We've had a lot of people who do have like the NZ qualifications. So Melon's quite a prime example of that. Yeah, Jerem as well with the Rookie Academy.
Jerem with the Rookie Academy.
Yeah. So it's a mix of them, and it's definitely interesting. We Cat.
We just had Cat who's Czech but does New Zealand stuff.
Yeah,
as well.
Does New Zealand. New Zealand qualifications are quite cool, that you get a different type of nationalities across the world, and they're pretty flexible with that. It's really cool.
Yeah. And then they use New Zealand in Japan as well, I suppose, or
Japan. They use New Zealand and Japan as well as CASI. Not as much as BASI.
Have you done CASI as well? Have you got the CASI?
Max is CASI too.
Fishing,
I think.
Oh,
yeah.
So you've done BASI and then you've done CASI.
Well, I was originally a BASI instructor beforehand, but then I've converted over to CASI. But then again, I was meant to be doing my BASI 2 this year, but that's been cancelled because of COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
were you doing that?
That was going to be, to be fair, funny enough, I was going to be doing that in Zermatt in November time, but then that got cancelled, so I had to book for Morzine in March time. They're getting cancelled, so I'll just do it next year.
COVID, man.
There's no rush, mate. It's all good.
Well, that's it. And you don't want to be doing it in that kind of more stressful setting as well, don't you? That's what I think.
You know what? It is what it is. I'm happy with where I am. I mean, I've got my adaptive qualification as well, so it's just I've got so that's all good. That's the first time I ever met Renal. Was my adaptive stuff.
Oh yeah. I'd like to. I don't know when. I'm not required. Like I don't need to do the adaptive, but so hopefully at some point the opportunity will come along.
It's super interesting. Well. They should definitely do more, and I think a lot of people are pushing for the adaptive stuff. But anyway, I really want to go into the national team for China, and when did that start to really come around, and what that opportunity prevailed, and then of course subsequently the experience of that more than anything.
Yeah man. Well, I did that what was it then? So we did the level 2, started going through the level 3 stuff. Did my level 1 ski with Andy Jerem as well. Love the podcast with him. He just seems like such a sick dude as well. Just been on it for so long. And yeah, did my skiing in Tamworth with him. That was sick. So I did my coaching course in Hinstux with Lewis Sonvinko. That was sick. That was the most fun I've had in the park for a long time, man. Like the Hinstux park and just lapping around that, learning loads more about freestyle that I didn't have a clue about, set up carves and all this. And I was just like, what? I didn't know. And then I was back in England, and for the summer, I was just on the BASI website, big up to BASI website, jobs board. And I was applying for all different ones. And then the China job was there with not much information about it. I was like, I'll apply for it. I'm just going through them all. Might as well. I probably won't get it, but we'll just send it off. And then I got a call about it, and they were explaining to me about Chinese national snowboarding team. They're going to be training all over the world. We saw your thing. You got that freestyle experience. You saw your CV. You got freestyle experience. You got the instructing experience. So and I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. Like, I had to sit down. I was just like, this is crazy. And I said, like, well, I don't know if I'm, qualified enough. And she's like, well, no, you're like, one of the more qualified people we found. I was like, okay. And then I rang BASI, because after that, I was like, there wasn't much information about the job. And I rang BASI and was like, so do you know these guys? Because you advertised it. And they're like, yeah, I don't know. We don't know much about it. The not really nice lady, she didn't work there anymore. She gave me the name of someone in China who could explain to me about how it all works and stuff. But it was still pretty blind. So I definitely was like, yeah, this is an amazing opportunity. Let's do it. And flew out that within like a week or two, man. I was just like, and like since then in China, I learned that you don't have to always do what they ask of you. Like they're like, we need you to come out quick. Like I could have said, give me 2 weeks, give me 3 weeks to sort out my life. But I didn't know at that point. They were like, yeah, no, we need you to come out as quick as you can. So I was like, I was on the plane within like a week or two. And I arrived, and I love this story. It's just so crazy, man. This was like, before that, level 2 was the most stressful part of my life. And then this was, I don't think I'll ever find anything more stressful than this. Because I got off the plane, jet lagged, and they drove me from the airport in Nanjing, sat me down in this boardroom, like big table, like 30 chairs on either side, like in a high rise thing, like boardroom, like, and there's a translator there, and then there's like 2 or 3 dudes, like, and they're like, so John, what's the plan? And I've just got off the plane. I'm jet lagged. I was like, I thought I might get to like where I live first or something. You know what I mean? Like, but no, it was just straight. And they're like, so what's the plan? I was like, what do you mean? What's the plan? I was like, I don't know. What's going on with you guys? Like, I don't know what the situation is here. Like, it's like, so it's like, well, we've got 30 kids currently, and we've got no snow, no snowboards, no slope. And we want you to teach them to snowboard. And I was like, how do you expect me to do that? It's like, well, you're starting tomorrow, and you bring the plan with you tomorrow, or whatever, like, and just let us know how you're gonna do this. And I was like, oh, I don't know, like, and I was like, I kind of just like shadow the first session or whatever, and they were like, well, go back to your place, and we just talk through loads of stuff. Possible places of training. But I was like, well, how you expect me to train them when there's no facilities? It was just insane, you know what I mean? I can't even recite back to it, because I was just like, out of body experience. It's like, what the hell's going on? I was just asking, like, is there a proper toilet in my room? Like, or is it a squat toilet? Like, I was still just thinking about this kind of stuff. So I got to and then the day after, turned up, and there's like 30 Chinese kids all in uniform, and they're stood, in like a military style square, like across, all just perfectly in line, and there's like a plinth in front of them, and the guy's doing whatever with them, and then it's like, all right, John, get on the plinth and do your instructing. And I'm just like, I was like, what the hell? And I got up there and was just like, oh, I'm just gonna have to, like, they're gonna have to get to know me first, you know what I mean? Like, I'll just talk to them and like tell them about me and where I'm from, where I'm snowboarding and stuff. And I realized, because I've got a translator, or an interpreter saying everything that I say, I get like 20 seconds between everything I say to think about the next thing that I say. You know what I mean? So it was actually that was really good, because I could just be like, hello, I'm John, I'm from here and I snowboard. And then I'd pause and she'd be like, ni hao, tasha, lao chao. And then I could be thinking, oh, what do I say next? So I survived off that for a long time. But yeah, I was teaching them the central theme, imaginary central theme, basically. No, like just the body movements. And I found some skateboards, because there's a skateboard team that train there as well. There's loads of old skateboards. So we started doing balance boards on the skateboard, but we also I put towels on the floor, and then put the skateboard on the towel, and then you could like practice like edging with like that. So like all these harebrained scheme ways of teaching snowboarding without actually having a snowboard, which carried on for like I don't know, like a week or 2 weeks, or just that. And also doing fitness with them, which obviously isn't my skill set. It's more I've got a lot better at it now, but back then I had no clue. And I was making them do like 10 pistol squats on either side, which is incredibly hard to do if you've ever tried. Although they guys could do it, because they're all like full on martial arts beasts, like. And then after like a week and a half, they were like, so yeah, basically, in the next couple of days, 600 kids are going to arrive. So I'm like, what? 600 kids? And you're like, yeah. So it's like, you got it. And they'd always be like, you're the boss. John, we flew you in. You're the expert. And I was like, what? So it was like, what we're going to do with these 600 kids? And I was still the only like Westerner there at that point. And then this other guy came out, another BASI guy, Russian dude. And we just started to like, and then loads of other Chinese like snowboard coaches started arriving, but they were just like, a lot of them hadn't even snowboarded before. So we had to teach them how to snowboard without snow through a translator for them to be able to teach people. So we've got 600 kids. This whole place it's an Olympic training center in Nanjing. It's like a massive snowboard army. People are running around the track, like it's just like a bit, it's like a Full Metal Jacket or something, but with the Chinese snowboarders. And then finally I get sent to a snow dome, and I get away from that place, which was just crazy. And I got the original 30 kids. I got to train them on the slope, and all the training that I had done off the slope definitely helped. Like they got on the snowboard and they were just instantly doing it. Like, you know what I mean? So they were writing. They were writing it all down in books. Like they got little notebooks, and I'm talking about nose grabs, tail grabs, beef curtains grabs, and they're like, what's beef curtain? Why is it called a beef curtains? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. It was like I was teaching science or something, not snowboarding. And every week I'd have to do like a seminar as well, and I'd do like PowerPoint history of surfing, history of skating, history of snowboarding. It was, mate, I love that. Like, we all love talking about this kind of stuff, eh? So it was, that was crazy. But then, yeah, I went to the Snow Dome. taught them on the rubbish slope. Was there for ages. Ended up making my own jibs there. Then we ordered in some jibs. So we got we made a little kicker, which was, hard to do because it was like rubbish sugar snow. And just training them fundamentals, snowboarding, freestyle, coming off the jump, different 180s and whatever, and rails and boxes and stuff. And then we went to a ski resort, and things got a bit more legit. More people turned up, so we could kind of. And I mean, if you're doing the full story, like basically, we started realizing like this wasn't a fully legitimate outfit, and because there was loads of kids that we obviously had already selected as not good enough for the team. Our role was to take these kids from. Take them from they were from different backgrounds, like martial arts or basketball or whatever, and select out of those 650 kids who's the good ones to snowboard, and then go with those. And then so we're selecting them, training them, selecting them. It was a whole process of that, and seeing who takes to it. But then we realized a lot of these kids aren't good enough, and we said, like, yeah, these guys can go now. And we just couldn't ever get rid of them. They were just always there. And we're like, no, we put them in this group, and this is the group that needs to go home. And they're like, they would never go. And we're just like, all this Chinese bureaucracy and stuff, it's just a whole of the, thing to learn. And in the end, we're like, we couldn't say this to the Chinese people. We could say it to the people that we like liaised with, who were the Western people. We're like, basically, are you just trying to make money off the government? Like through these kids, basically, like they got paid per head for all the kids that they had in the program. So if they sent them home, they couldn't make the money off the kids. So pretty unethical. So basically we ended up picking out the kids who were the proper kids that we needed to train, and then the other kids who were just on like a snowboard holiday, basically. So they thought it was serious, and they were still working hard and wanted to like please their families and stuff. But we wouldn't dedicate as much resources to them, and it wouldn't be so serious. They could just enjoy snowboarding, which is nice, because a lot of people in China wouldn't be able to do that. So they were just the bigger groups that have bigger numbers, and then the legit ones that have smaller groups, and we'd be coaching them, whereas the other people would be like less experienced coaches or whatever, and they'd just take them around the mountain, just having fun and whatever. So that was the initial thing. And then we finally managed to get rid of the kids that shouldn't have been there, and started to become more legit, and worked with some amazing people. For every like not professional coach that I got to work with, for every 50 unprofessional things that I had to do, I got to work with like crazy professionals from top of the game of snowboarding, which was amazing. And also like strength and conditioning coaches, super top of the game. So I just learned loads about fitness and all that kind of stuff, and strength and conditioning, making your body able to do all this mad stuff. And then I kind of just was there for a year and a half, and it's a long time to spend in a place like that. Like so I loved it, man. I learned to speak Mandarin. I did the BASI. I did the second language in Mandarin. So I got so much out of it. I mean, I'd recommend it to anyone. Like, but it is intense, and it's obviously it's no secret towards what the ethics in China's like. So it's like it's hard to be part of that for an extended period of time. You know what I mean? Like, even though I do really want to go back and do more, it was just like, obviously it's hard to be part of like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the morals as well, isn't it? Obviously I've got my goals in my career.
Isn't it? It's like a completely different like sort of culture out there and that jazz. So yeah.
And you can't change China. You can't change a whole.
Yeah, I mean, overall, did the kids enjoy it in terms of that that sessions and those lessons? Were the kids like really passionate about snowboarding, and then like did they just
they're
have
the
the
most
best time?
amazing.
Yeah.
Mate, like
I need to
it
lose.
gets me a little bit emotional, like to think about it, man. Like they're the most like amazing people that I've ever met really, like because they're up against it like in life, but yeah, they got to experience snowboarding, which a lot more of people in China will be able to do in the future, which is amazing. And like so yeah, like they got to experience snowboarding, and they'll have jobs in the industry for the rest of their life, because it's obviously a massive industry now. So I thought about it a lot, man, before I left, like what's the future for these kids and stuff. And like it's been really good. And the ones that shouldn't have been there because they weren't good enough, they still got to experience snowboarding. And like they got to be like, us being there, like it was it was hard to get your head around us being there, because it was cruel, some of the stuff that the kids had to go through. They wouldn't see their families for years. They wouldn't go they don't get taught education of any kind. It's just snowboarding. So if they get injured and they can't snowboard anymore, or if they aren't good enough and don't succeed in snowboarding, they can't do anything else. They're stuck. But you make it right in your head, because it's like they've had that experience, and they've got to be around Western people, and like the coaches can like actually show them like love and affection, or just show them how like there can be a man in their life that isn't gonna like beat them up or something. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty hardcore, but like a lot of the other coaches, man, like it's an old school. They're behind in a lot of things, and like they'll use like they'll kick you if you aren't doing the technique right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
obviously
they're very like cutthroat in that sort of end, aren't
so it's hard to be alongside that and be part of it, but at least you're there showing them that life doesn't have to be like that. And like coaches and people who are older than them can actually like teach them things and like have a good relationship with them and show them, you know what I mean? So it's that's the vibe, like, but obviously it's a long time to be doing that as well. But I mean, I want to go back as well. I miss it. And we've got lots of friends there now. I mean, it was like Morzine was my second home, and then China's like my second home, and then I hope to make Austria my second home. But yeah, I do feel like it's like like a home, almost like a home there anyway, because it's that many such a big part of my life there. Like so, yeah. Yeah, it's a big subject, and I could talk about it for ages. Spent learning all about the politics there, and I could talk about Taiwan, China, like talk about all kinds of like tactical war politics. Or I'll go on about it forever.
So after kind of moving back from like leaving China, did you really start to think about like your level 3s and the higher qualifications after that?
It was just going snowboarding, man. Like a lot of the coaches that I worked with weren't qualified up to the teeth, and they were just amazing freestyle riders. So it was kind of like, hold on, I don't actually need to be so qualified up to the teeth if I want to go down a more coaching direction. Personally, I want to get as good at snowboarding as I can just for myself before I'm too old. But also that could help me in a coaching career as well, to just have those tricks myself. At least I've done them a few times, so I can like know what it feels like, so I can coach it better. And also to make those connections, make those contacts in like freestyle and stuff. So I was looking at other coaches and thinking like, how do I take my career in a more of a coaching path as opposed to an instructing path? And it didn't say to me more qualifications. It said to me, more rotations or whatever. I don't know, more corks. So I still want to get all the qualifications as well. but yeah, I was just ready to just take a season and just do what I've been doing now, which is in Austria, which is just riding and just progressing, and for myself, but also, half for the career as well. That's kind of how I sell it to myself, so I don't feel like I'm just totally bumming out again, and just it's got a point to it, and it's going in a direction. Like
yeah. As you were saying, it's like prestiging in Call of Duty.
Yeah, that's it, man. I'm on I don't know what prestige I'd be on. I can't remember. I don't know. I need. Yeah. I don't do prestige anymore, right? I don't know what they do. I'm not so clued up on it.
I think they still do it because I started playing. I've been playing Warzone and that sort of Call of Duty.
Warzone's okay, yeah. I
it's sort of the same sort of shit.
Yeah. Oh no, you just get a new rank every time.
You level up, and then it's like then it goes back to the middle. I don't know. It's confusing.
Yeah, I don't know how you can compare that. Yeah, each time you go back to the start, it's like a new ski resort when you do.
Yeah.
So I still want to get those qualifications, and but yeah, no, it's been. Oh well, I got injured at the end of leaving China. They built these airbags, which was amazing, great for the progression. And when I arrived, before I arrived, they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna have all these airbags. It's gonna be sick." When I arrived, there was nothing, obviously, and the airbags were only done by the time I was leaving. Like in the last 2 months of me being there, and I'd already decided, like, yeah, it's time for me to go. But I was like, I'll still get in on them bags as much as I can before I go, and then I'll be able to go from there to Austria and do all the stuff I've done in the bags in Austria. It'll be amazing. But I was just riding every day in these bags, like working, riding in between, like lunch break, riding their bags, which was sick because it's just cheating. Like having an airbag is just, I've progressed so much this season because of the airbags, and but I was just too fatigued, and I just bent down doing a squat with my boot on and popped my meniscus and tore 30%. Which is not good. And it's my lateral side, the outside knee, which inside is supposed to be less of a thing, but the outside is more of a thing. So that was another massive mental journey to go on. And I just left China, went to Austria straight away, but didn't think I was injured, realized I was injured in Austria, came home, got a surgery to remove 30% of it, and then came back out the same season in March, because I was like, yeah, I'm better now. Did like 2 days, and then COVID happened within 2 days of me being there, and that was it. So I've been stuck, just like everyone else has been somewhat stuck with COVID and stuff, but I'm kind of not so I don't hate on COVID that much, because I was going to be stuck anyway with my knee, and now everyone else is stuck as well. So I selfishly didn't mind that too much, because at least I didn't feel like I was the only one just sitting.
It's cool because like Alec broke his you broke your elbow in November time, was it?
Full on fracture.
And literally he did it just before we were in our second lockdown, so he had a month to recover.
To heal and stuff.
Everything was closed down.
It's fine.
Did you think you were like, sound? That's all right.
Yeah, I was like, that's all right. There you go. Nah.
Yeah. And it comes on the TV, lockdown style, you're like, sick?
Yeah.
It's like, everyone's like, what the fuck?
So I kind of want to really just talk about your road to level 3 more than anything, and your experiences with the different modules and just the overall experience. Can you just kind of talk us through what modules you've completed and what modules that you're kind of carrying on at the moment with?
Yeah, I feel like I started with the not easier ones, but the smaller pieces to the puzzle, like the second language. I suppose is a big piece.
Yeah.
Actually, because it's massive to learn.
I think it's a big piece.
Yeah.
Just in my life, I'd had that. I was learning that second language, so I was like, all right, got that done. Which was that was pretty funny.
Yeah, just skiing, of course, which is your second discipline as well.
Skiing, which was fun. I mean, and after that, I did a lot more skiing, which is sick. I don't know if I'll do it much now, because with my knee, I don't really want to risk messing around with it. But I did enjoy the time that I spent on the skis, and like doing proper turns on skis feels really good as well, as opposed to just like, I mean, so many skiers that just ski terrible, don't they? They're on the mountain. It's quite nice to be able to look at them and be like, oh, that one's got good technique. That one's a joke. So yeah, that was fun. And then the coaching one, great course. No like actual exam to it, so you just living it
You
up.
just sort of piss around, don't you? In that
Yeah,
sort of sense.
yeah. Which is I don't know. You're spending the money on it, and you're like, but this is sick, and I'm not stressed. So, and it's one more ticked off, and you do learn. There's plenty to learn on that as well. So, and then that's all I've done really. I was just on the BASI website just before speaking to you guys. I was going to do all this stuff in Instructor, but it's not on the website anymore. So I don't know if they've took it off because it wasn't looking like Instructor was going to be open or not. So it's just Verbier and Zermatt. So maybe I'll take a road trip in the van, and that'd be pretty cool. I've never been to Verbier. But then you got to pay for the lift ticket as well, haven't you? So it's a bit. That's why I like it here in the Tyrol. I can get a Tyrol card, €600, which is just scandalous, and it's like 200 plus resorts. It's literally stupendous. It's €800 if you haven't got a residency. Like I had to get residency for Brexit anyway, and all you have to do is say, yeah, this is my main residence, and they just tick it. And you get your house, and then it's €625 for 200 plus resorts in multiple valleys all over. And so I'm in Mayhofen now, but when Mayhofen closes, Hintertux opens and the park opens there, and then those courses were going to happen there. So then the money I've spent on this season pass then goes also to what I would spend if I did a thing there as well. But now if I've got to go to Verbier, I was thinking I was only going to do the mountain safety because that's what I'd really like to learn about right now, because I'm spending more time in the backcountry. It's sick. I want to learn more about it. Even like hiking and stuff at the start of the season, I was really enjoying just going. The hiking was really fun as well.
Have you done your mountain safety yet?
What do you say?
Have you done your mountain safety?
No,
yet?
I want to do. Definitely want to do that one at the end of the season. I just got my Abbey gear this season. I've been getting more experience with that because Morzin's not that gnarly, so I never really spent that much time. And then I was in China for such a long time, so still learning a lot in the backcountry, which is really satisfying to be learning all that. So I definitely want to do that, maybe in Verbier or wherever. But then I was thinking about the level 3 teaching tech, and I don't feel like I'm at the level of that now. But then I speak to people and they're like, "Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be right."
I mean, I'd say tech level, looking at your riding from like Instagram videos, I'm going to point out, I think you're pretty there, because I think you get
you're right.
From an outside view, looking in, I think you can see that with looking at other instructors. You can be like, you can look at an instructor and you can go, "Oh yeah, he's a level 1 or she's a level 2," and or like you can sort of tell their sort of level of riding. Like with yours, like with the shit that you're pulling and the shit that you're like doing, like definitely level 3 tech.
But that's it. I mean, easy. I suppose I've left it, or maybe I've left it too long. And now I'm getting a bit older, and like my knee, like I've been so happy to be able to do this season. I've done so much physio, like so much to get stronger, and it's my front knee, which I'm super happy about because like I feel like obviously you're pairing a lot with your back foot. Obviously, you do have to go in on that front foot for initiating turns or whatever, but you're really pairing a lot with the back foot. You're popping the ollies with the back foot. You're landing on your back foot. So I'm so happy that it's my front knee. But then I do feel like my switch has suffered this season because of it. It's not dead bad for me to do switch, but I've just been like I might get more fatigued more quickly on the mountain. And now I pick and choose the tricks that I do. I just pick and choose the tricks that I do, you know what I mean? So I've only got a few of them in me in the day, whereas I used to be just doing them all day long and not have to think about it. So I'm thinking I think my switch has suffered. But then it was good in China because you're always demoing stuff in switch and regular, doing front boards, switch back, all this stuff that I wouldn't have normally done. So I just have just been not really thinking about it this season, and I feel like it deserves. I don't want to just be like, oh yeah, I'll just take it, whatever. I think it does deserve what it's there for, and I feel like I should be reading the book more. I should be going out on the mountain and just drilling stuff, which I've not been doing. So I don't feel like I've given it what it deserves, I suppose. But there's still 2 months left. I could still get on it, I suppose.
I mean, even then, it's you can just blame it on COVID and just be like, yeah, this is COVID. Yeah, it's COVID season. So next season,
that's classic. Yeah, due to COVID, I'm not going to be doing steep short turns this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's plenty of time, mate. So maybe next year. I think for that one, that would be the more reasoning for it, just because I want to go into it and give it what it deserves. And I don't know, if I did the mountain safety, the teach, and the tech, and then if I did the pre-tech week as well, which was available last time I looked, but now it isn't, that'd be a month straight of doing the courses. And I was like, oh, that does sound like a lot. and it's a lot of money as well, so 1 or 2 will do for now.
Yeah, man. I mean, my last question before we kind of move on to the final thoughts, and of course, Alec, if you've got any questions, do butt in. I do kind of want to go into psychedelics and kind of a bit of
man. About that.
Yeah, so like, I'm not as knowledgeable on this kind of stuff, and the only kind of real instance I kind of see in snowboarding is like CBD and kind of a lot of that kind of stuff helping with the relaxation and ease of like your like, you know, your muscles or your bones and whatnot, and to help with that. And you can kind of see that a lot. But yeah, I just kind of want to be a bit more open and really kind of see how psychedelics can help you in snowboarding and how it can kind of open up a lot more kind of mental stabilities there that can help.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta be careful what I say, I suppose. Like, I'm not a doctor or whatever, and I was wondering about whether to bring it up, but it was a big part of me deciding whether I was going to snowboard or not. And like, if I had to go out on a limb, I would like stand up for it wholeheartedly as an enriching experience for people in the world. Obviously done like responsibly. Like, you know, I say like unconscious use of alcohol is bad for you, whereas conscious use of alcohol can be good for you. Just like unconscious use of Instagram can be bad for you, but conscious use of Instagram can be good for you. You know, you use Instagram to promote you, or, you know, you're using Spotify, you're using social media to promote your podcasts because you're consciously putting effort into it to do something good. Whereas if you're using Instagram and Facebook just to sit and just, you know, just try not to think about your problems and stuff, and just, then that's unconscious use and it's bad and it will take you bad places. Same with alcohol and same with psychedelics and things like that. So, you know, I'd advocate for it in a safe way, safe environment, obviously. And I did think, is this going to mess me up if I say this on the podcast? But I think obviously the snowboarding community industry is a forward, open-minded place to be. So it's probably a pretty safe thing to go into. But yeah, I mean, I don't know about into snowboarding specifically, but it just makes you a better person at figuring out about what's going on in yourself. And I think as a coach and as a instructor, you need to jumping the gun about saying what is the most, because I've already researched, listened to your podcast so much about what do I think is the best thing in an instructor. It's like having that ability to know yourself and know, like just be emotionally mature enough and sensitive. Renelle said it to me as well, because I was second guessing myself on the course, and she was like, you deserve to do this job. Like you're anyone, on this course, you're on it. Like you love it. You love snowboarding. You're into it. And you're a sensitive person. Like you're and that is good. Like in a role like instructing and teaching, if you're like emotionally like sensitive, you can pick up on people and feel what they need. If you understand them and you understand yourself, you understand what they need. then you can give them what they need more efficiently. You know what I mean? And I suppose psychedelics could be an aspect of that, as long with like meditation or like yoga, things like that just train your mind to be more like conscious of what's going on in yourself, because being conscious of what's going on as opposed to being unconscious. Unconscious coaching would be like getting angry at someone when they've done something wrong, and you've been like, mate, I told you 3 times now to close your shoulders on the backside, on the toe side or whatever. Come on, you know what I mean? Like, that's unconscious, because you're letting your anger, you're putting all this effort into someone, you're putting yourself into them, like, because you've done that stuff before, you've learned how to teach it, you're telling them, and then they're like failing on you, and you're getting angry about it. Like, that's unconscious, you know what I mean? Like, so I think in the world, I mean, especially in like teaching and stuff, I think you've got to be on that, you know what I mean? I really think that's a big part of just like, I don't know, being woke. I mean, what's your like what's your views on like on that kind of thing, if you want to take it to a spiritual? I like when podcasters take a spiritual turn. Like, I don't know, like, what's your views on it? Like,
I mean, we both haven't really like done much spiritual stuff. Like, it's always been in a view of, looking at it, and you don't want to dismiss it entirely, because from like our point of view, because it is very interesting. And I think growing up as a kid, I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm going,
that's deep.
Yeah,
that's deep, man. That's great, isn't it? I've not seen. I've seen like the odd episode, but it's all about like Asian or whatever.
yeah,
Chinese.
it's like that sort of culture, and it got.
That's why I love the Asian stuff. Like, they're so deep into my like. The West is all about money and bettering yourself, getting better, qualifying or whatever, and then Asia's China's all about getting better. China's doesn't really count, but Asia is more about. Oh, China's like a weird mix, but Asia's all about spirituality and mind, all that kind of stuff. They're more in touch with
all that
kind of stuff.
I think it's totally interesting. I've done a lot of research on that sort of stuff and like chakras and that jazz, and it's something to get into, and especially if you're with a customer or something that is in that sort of area, you can then be further
vibe off that. But I just think it's good. It's just good as well, just to be in, it's just life. You learn through life about yourself, and I think to be a good another part of being a good instructor is just like being on tune with what people are feeling and what they need in that moment. You know what I mean? Some people could be really technically good and telling them stuff, but if you can't sense what that person needs at the time, if a person's like stressed out at that time, there's no use in giving them technical information, because they ain't going to be able to process it, because they're just like, oh, you know what I mean? You just got to like shut up for a bit and then just let them, whatever, like calm them down in any way you can, and then you can commence again with that technical stuff, isn't it? It's just, I've been around instructors or coaches that are like, they're just not on a level with the person they're giving in tuition to, and they're just missing. They're probably not aware. I don't know. I mean, they might have a different thing to say about it, but it's just my opinion. I just think you could, if you were more aware of how that person's feeling, then you realize that actually this is what they need to hear right now, not that. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I obviously think about it too much sometimes, but that's why I feel like this role suits me well, because I do think about how people feel and how it's gonna, what they need. You know what I mean? So,
and I think having that mindset is like crucial. I think you agree with that.
That was it. Well, that's it. I was like thinking it was a negative thing to me to be like always thinking about this kind of shit. But then when like Ronell was like, this is a good fit for you because of you being like that, it actually makes you more equipped in this kind of job role. And I was like, So then, yeah, maybe not feel so negative about it and actually think, yeah, it's a good thing, isn't it? Like, I suppose we've all got our quirks, and you could just perceive them as negative or positive, isn't it? Like people that have like bipolar, they say, oh, if you've got a button here and if you could press it, you don't have bipolar anymore. They're like, no, I'm happy with it. Like so. Yeah, it's the psychedelics is just one part of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing, and it's like a shortcut. But I think it's all spiritual. I think like meditating and yoga. I mean, even cannabis. I think it's all
that sort of area and that sort of part.
Yeah, and like psychedelics is just the VIP, the skip the queue pass. You know what I mean? Like at Alton Towers, you can queue up and do meditation and yoga, or you can just do the quick ticket and you and it's but it's intimidating at the same time to just be like, oh, what, I'm getting on Oblivion right away. I haven't even got time to process it. Like, yeah, it's good.
Makes sense, buddy.
That's interesting, man.
Before we wrap up, I mean, we did kind of go into detail in terms of the final thoughts on what you perceive makes a great snowboard instructor. Is there any other kind of pointers, John, that you want to kind of talk about beforehand?
What, like, I don't know, man. Again, like, I suppose I've still got a lot of learning to do and a lot of experience to get. But yeah, if you're just nice and polite, then it's all good, isn't it? It's like, I'm saying like my mom or something, but just being nice, man. Just not being. I think other people have said that, and they just don't be a dick. Like, so yeah, that gets you a long way, doesn't it? Like, and yeah, talking to people and like you guys, the connections, the contacts you make, and all that. Like, that's pretty valuable stuff, isn't it? So yeah.
Hey, nice, buddy. So,
and that's what it's all about, isn't it? The people that you meet, like. Put you off again. Like, that's all that life's about. Like, it's just the people you meet. Like, I mean, I'm stoked here riding these mountains, but I do miss like the people that I've met in other places. Like, it's it's just like about that. Yeah. All right, I'll shut up now.
That's all good. Don't worry. I just kind of wanted, I just wanted to more ask, like, where can people find you and plug yourself in.
Oh yeah. No, I just on Instagram. It's JON _ Marrion MARRION _ instructor. I'd like to have a better name at some point, or I'd like to try and start some sort of like independent business or something, but I'm still figuring it out. So if you follow me on John Marrion _ instructor, is that right? John _ Marrion _ instructor. Then hopefully it should develop into something more professional. But there's all the China stuff on there. I've got like all the stories from the story highlights of in China. There's some funny stuff, like the type of what passes for a rail in China, which is hilarious. So yeah, there's good stuff, visual aids to all the China chat and all that as well.
So you said as well before we go off, like, future wise, you want to go back to China, you're going to do your level 3. Any other kind of like other specific goals you have for the future?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to get involved in like more projects with like this, and like more just in snowboarding, like. And I mean, you just have to make it happen, really. This season I've been, my friend's a really good photographer, and we've been doing like, trying to do like projects, photos, videos, just stuff like that, man. I'd like to try and push it more in that direction. For myself, but then I also do want to get back into the coaching, because it's really fulfilling to do that with other people as well. So yeah.
Oh, good, man. Thanks for the talk, and hope to see you soon, dude.
Yeah, man. Thanks very much.